Shalom. We are in Parashah 16, Bashalach. It means, and he let go. So it's Pharaoh letting the people go, but it's actually Yahweh letting the people go, because it's not Pharaoh's choice. It was Yahweh's decision to liberate his people. Just remember one thing: Satan and the Nachash doesn't have any power. The only power he's got is within his tongue, his forked tongue, where he causes lies and confusion. And lies and confusion brings fear. And fear is the force which he uses your energy against yourself and against other people. So never act on fear. That's why what it says in scripture, that the opposing force to fear is love. Love. What does love mean? Love means to choose unconditionally. That's agape love. You choose by choice, not by feeling. And a choice made by a decision is normally to do with the front part of your brain, where the frontlets are, and those decisions should be done in relation to what Yahweh wants us to choose, as stipulated in his scripture, in his Torah. So if we make decisions based on what he's telling us to do, if you love me, you will obey my commandments. It's that kind of love that he wants us to have, that will oppose fear, which is confusion. And remember, the commandments are the ultimate truth. It's truth that is echad. There's no forked tongue. Everything harmonizes with everything else. It's in line with Yahweh's character and Yahweh's plan and Yahweh's purpose. And that's why there's no fear in love, in obeying Yahweh's commandments. Just a little intro there. Bashalach, Exodus 13 to 17. Now, when I looked at the chapters, I realized that this Torah portion is so full, so many topics. It will take a long time to go through everything. So you can't, in a one sitting, discuss everything. So it starts off with the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire. Then it's crossing the Red Sea. Then it's the song of Moses, song of Miriam. And then Mara, Manna, and then Amalek. And it's encapsulated, all housed within the two covers, this chapter, between the themes of war. Now, we had another war parasha in the past. I can't recall which one it is. And this one is similar. It starts with a battle, and it ends with a battle. The first battle is being fought by Yahweh on behalf of the people. The second battle is fought by the people with the help of Yahweh. So you see the difference there. The first one is called a miracle, where you get you supernaturally out of a situation. The second one, he asks you to apply his standards in the context of a battle, and that will cause you to overcome the enemy. So if you are a baby, you need the protection of the parents. You can't fight for yourself. You don't even know what's right or wrong, what's dangerous, what's not. And that's why he intervened and overcame the enemy on your behalf, because they're all babies. They new believers in Yahweh, following Moshe, coming out of Egypt, not knowing whether they're coming or going, very confused. Spectacular things happen. Some of them are devastated, afraid. Some of them are mourning their family members that's left behind. So there's separation that happened, a lot of separation and a lot of emotion attached to that. That's why I always said, you're not in a state as a people to wage battle against the enemy. I will do that on your behalf. The second battle is against Amalek, and that's the first time where Joshua's name was mentioned in scripture. And Moshe asked Joshua to assemble the people, and then they battled against Amalek, where he went up with Aaron and Hur on the mountain or the hilly side of the landscape, and He upheld the standard in order for the people to overcome. Now, this coming Shabbat, we are going to discuss the concept of the two parts of the soul, the nefesh and the neshama. We're also going to discuss the relationship between the bride and the groom. Now, there are two houses, or the concept of a house and a household is always to do with a family unit. And a family unit that is blessed will always bear fruit. That means that there will be offspring. So the bride, or the concept of a bride, is always the concept of a mother that, or a bride that will become pregnant, that will become a mother, and the nurturing mother will look after children to help them to grow up in the vicinity of the household in regarding the standards within that household. In the same way, there's a counterfeit household, and we're going to look at that and what that means. And then we're going to look at the two enemies. The first battle's enemy and the second battle's enemy. I'm not going to give that away. Just want to put that in context. I just want to talk about the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire, because we won't have time to discuss that. Briefly touched on that 2 weeks ago when we looked at the Shin and the Mem connection. The water and the fire, which relates to the seventh plague in the context of the Exodus. It also relates to the last trumpet, the final judgment that will be during the time of the tribulation towards the end. And the idea of water and fire is a spiritual idea. Now, we discussed this at length last year when we looked at the king of the south, king of the north. North represents Yahweh's kingdom, south represents the lower parts or the bottom, or the waters of the deep with the kingdom of the south. And when the two overlap, and that's the eclipse, where the spiritual, the northern kingdom, and the physical, the southern kingdom, overlaps. And when things overlap, you'll see supernatural things, and that's when Yahweh appears. So the idea of water and fire is the idea of the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom overlapping. That's where Yahweh comes down. And he normally comes down in a time frame. Now, that's the other thing that's established in this parasha, as well as the previous one. The first idea is the idea of the starting of a month. So Yahweh is establishing a calendar, which is his calendar. Let's call it the Hebrew calendar. And he first defined the month, the first month, and the 14th of the first month is the first of the Moedim. And the first of the Moedim is the preparation for the second Moedim, which is a 7-day feast. And there we see the cycles of 7 kicking in, which is the cleansing. And we know that unleavened, removing leaven is about purging you from leaven, or taking leaven out of the house or the household. So now you can see the standard of the house being raised. We do not allow any leaven in this house. And the house of Yahweh does not have leaven in it. And leaven is a symbol of sin. And that's also the symbolism of leaving Egypt. Egypt is sin and bondage. Mitzrayim is the Hebrew word for that. And that is symbolic of leaving sin behind in the house that they just left, which is the house of Pharaoh. Now, quite interestingly, the word Pharaoh means great house. So we see the concept of a house, which is a copy of Yahweh's house, but within the context of the kingdom of the south, where the Nachash is the king, or the ruler, or the ultimate authority. Now, Yahweh is the ruler and the ultimate authority of the kingdom of the north. Does that mean that they are equal in power but opposite? No, it does not. Because the serpent is a created being. It's Lucifer, who was an archangel who fell. And being a created being means he's subject to the Creator and less than the Creator, because he's been created by the Creator, and that put him in a lower stance, or the lower level of Yahweh. He is just a rebel who's got an idea that he is equal to Yahweh, which is one of his lies. So don't believe that one. Alright, so the pillar of cloud, pillar of fire, we've got cloud, mem, water, we've got fire, shin, which has to do with the spiritual. Shin is also a symbol of Yahweh's spirit, the cleansing spirit, the purging spirit, the spirit that deals with metals. Last year we looked at the concept of gold, the purification of gold in relation to the lake of fire and the purification that happens in that context. Now, I'm not going to jump back into that one. We'll leave it when it's due to discuss. Otherwise, it's too much to go through. Now, the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire. Now, if you think about a tornado, it's a spiraling force that moves in a cycle with an upward force. That's a basically definition of what a tornado is. And a tornado can be a pillar of dust, it can be a pillar of water when they occur over the ocean, or they can be a pillar of fire when there's a bushfire and you see a tornado, you see the fire going up. So the medium of the pillar is determined not by the force, but by what is being encapsulated within the spinning force. Now the spinning force, I'm just going to give some context here in relation to the Aleph Bet, which is the letter Samech. Now, why is the letter Samech important? Letter Samech is the 15th letter of the Aleph Bet, and that relates to this Torah portion in relation to manna, because the 15th of the month and the 16th of the month is mentioned, and that is the other part of the calendar that Yahweh is revealing. Now the Samech is the Paleo-Hebrew of the Samech, as well as the normal Hebrew, looks like a circle. And if you look at the 15th, which is the 15th of the first month, is unleavened bread, and that is a full moon. So Samech is a picture of full moon, or the fullness of the revelation of the reflected light. Now the moon doesn't have light in itself, it reflects the light of the origin of light, which is the sun, which is a symbol of the true light, which is Yahweh, who is a consuming fire, who radiates his truth from himself upon an object that is a mediator of sort, which is within the realm of time, which is the realm of duality. Now the realm of duality is the fallen state of the dual soul, which is the neshama and the nefesh, in which we live. Now the moon rules the night and the sun rules the day. So to be a ruler means you've got authority, and the sun and the moon has the authority of time in relation to the Hebrew calendar from our perspective, looking up from the realm of duality. We are entrapped by time. Time is our master, and when your time runs out, you will die. And that's the curse that came upon Adam because he ate from the fruit. And Adam and Chava received the curse of time that held them bound until they are released and then translate into the spiritual. So time is like a membrane that separates the kingdom of the south and the kingdom of the north and what is in between. And that's where Yahweh meets. Now Yahweh meets us in the membrane of time, which is called the Moedim. And in order to define Moedim, you need to define months first. And that's what happened within Egypt. Remember, the context of the revelation of the first Passover is when people were still in bondage. Very important to understand the concept of the Moedim, because that's a cycle of 7 that you need to get leaven out of yourself and get yourself out of Mitzrayim, or sin and bondage. That is one of the mechanisms that you need. The other one that is important is the day, because Yahweh's time is not we've got a month-long feast. No, it's 7 days. And in order to define a day or a starting point within a month, you had to define, according to the moon, the day. And that's what we see with the manna. Now, the manna was used to define the weekly cycle, or the cycle of counting of days within the cycle of the months, which is the counting of the months, which is related to the sun, and the moon relates to the months and the days. So that's basically the premise of Yahweh's calendar. And we see that the number 15 relates to letter Samer, which is the round imagery of the letter itself. Now, the letter Samer, seen from top view, is a circle. When you see it from the side, it's a spinning spiral with an upward thrust or upward force. And that is an energy, a spiritual energy that Yahweh released from the northern kingdom in order to engage with the people within the southern kingdom, the kingdom that entraps them. Now, the upward thrust of the Samech has got the purpose to elevate those who engage with the upward thrust. Now, this upward thrust has the medium of the Mem, which is the pillar of cloud, which is a symbol of Yahweh's word, as well as the washing of the word. And we get the idea of the cycles of 7, the Sabbath, the Moedim, the festivals, that will elevate you as you engage with the tornado. I don't know about you, but when I see a tornado, I won't willingly walk into the tornado because it's dangerous. There's a lot of spinning things and spinning forces and debris floating around that will hit you and cause you harm and pain. In the same way, when you bravely walk into the force field of this upward thrusting spiral force of Yahweh's cycles of 7, the word will hit you very hard and cause you to be experiencing some pain, because it's painful to let go of things that you thought is the truth, and you feel that sinking feeling and that realization, and it can go hand in hand with some emotional feelings of anger and fear, whatever, because you need to let go, and you feel naked and stripped and being deceived and defiled or whatever because of the truth hitting you. It's a force, but you need to be brave enough to walk walking into that tornado, which is the pillar of cloud, which is the purging or the cleansing water of the word that will elevate you. The other pillar is the pillar of fire. Now, that one is a bit more serious. That's where you need to be very, very brave to walk into the fire of the spinning force that will have an upward thrust to elevate you. That's the second stage of elevation. Now, if you compare this to the tabernacle, it places it inside the holy place, where the other one is placed inside the outer court. We actually have both in each. The first one you experience is a brazen altar, which is the fire, where you need to accept the blood of Mashiach. That is the supernatural release of the first battle, releasing you from Egypt. Then the water is the second one, which is the washing of the water of the word, which is associated with Amalek, which has to do with the cleansing of your inner man. And that's the pillar of cloud, pillar of fire. And then we see on the inside of the holy place, which represents the spirit, or the intimate place where only one priest went in at a time. Outer court is where there's a lot of people. Inner court is only one person. And the person need to prepare the objects and the furnishings, and the application of the furnishings, placing the bread on the showbread, making sure the incense is on the incense altar, and making sure that the menorah is trimmed and the wicks are set up so the fire won't go out. So that is a symbol of your personal relationship, keeping that fire burning in your personal relationship with Yahweh, your inner room experience, so to speak. So that is the pillar of fire. And that one is a bit more difficult to do because we get distracted. The pillar of cloud is easier because we assemble, we discuss the word, and it's nice, there's a lot of action, and people discuss different things, and we all agree, and then we walk out into the next week. Starting of the week, we go to work, we do whatever, and then we lose track of the pillar of fire. We lose track of the intimate personal relationship pillar that will elevate your soul, which is closer to the Holy of Holies, which is the presence of Yahweh. That one is the most important one, and that one you need to make a deliberate decision to walk into that upward thrust, spiraling force of Yahweh's cycles, which is a daily cycle of devotion and spending time with Him in intimacy, in some way, shape or form. So that's just a bit of a rundown of my thoughts regarding the pillars, connecting to the enemies, also connecting to the tabernacle, also connecting to the cycles of 7, and the cleansing and the purging that need to happen and take place within us as part of our elevation. It's all about elevation, and the elevation is from the kingdom of the south to the kingdom of the north through the membrane of time, which is the membrane of the Moedim, or the calendar of Yahweh, the timings. Now, the Moedim is also called appointments. Now, to have an appointment with Yahweh, you need to be in the same space and time in order to meet Him. Now, in the physical, Yahweh is everywhere, so space is not a problem. You can meet Him anywhere. But time is the thing that defines whether you're going to see Him or not. So the Moedim are like open windows that open up, and His light shines through on those Moedim, letting down sparks of holiness regarding certain topics, regarding what the topics of the Moedim are all about, and you will engage with them, and they will have an elevation effect on your soul, transforming your nefesh, your physical soul, into the neshama, which is the restored spiritual soul that connects to His ruach, so you can become echad with Him, one with Him again. So I'm just going to leave you with those thoughts. I hope it's not too much. We'll discuss the next topic hopefully tomorrow. I hope you have a blessed, wonderful day. I'll speak to you soon. Shalom.